Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to the Gundam Explained show. I'm your host, Adam Blue. And yeah, Steven's not here, so this is going to be a solo show. And as you can tell by the title, Haroween, and after the fact, I was like, is that unintentionally racist? I don't know if that sounds bad, but yeah, Halloween is tomorrow as we're recording this. And what are you guys going as? Is anyone dressing up? I was planning originally to do like a Superman costume, because I felt like maybe I could fit in one and it would look cool. But just with the cost of that, uh, I decided not to. There's a lot of costs I've had recently. So hey, Ultronomus WD30th, good to see you guys. But no, yeah. So then I decided that I might go with the Batman costume that I wore last year because I can kind of fit in it better, and it looks pretty cool. So I might do that. I spent a lot of time making it last year, and then I have like that official NECA belt, well, official NECA, but that belt NECA has with the battery. It has all the cool gadgets. It's '89 Batman, so that's pretty cool. But I don't know though if I'm really going to be dressing up for anything. It really depends what's going on. But probably no. Well, I say no candy. I'm I'm not gonna try to seek it out, but it's one of those things where if it's around, I'm probably gonna eat it. But it's good, especially if it's Snickers for some reason. That's the one. But yeah. So okay. So let's see. This past week, so I was out of town. So the videos that dropped this week were ones that I made in advance. And I know one of them was about the Gundam game genres. I thought that was a good talk with Steven. Check that out if you haven't. It's just there's so many game genres that I think we could be making, Gundam games. And hey, Dan Vince, good to see you. And I think the other video, I know the Yakushiki review is up. Robot Spirits, that thing is awesome. I think I was talking about it last stream. But yeah, this thing, oh man. It just looks great. Don't you think so? It looks really good with, I guess, this time of day, night. It's dark out, and with the light, it looks really good. Okay, and so next up will be the review of the Mobile Suit Ensemble Requiem for Vengeance. I've got part of the review done. The part where you build them. So I'll be talking about that. And I have some other cool videos in the making. If you guys are interested, I'm doing one on the real world design behind the Gasai and the Penelope Gundam. Those are like really cool designs, and it's interesting why they decided to go that way with the designs and what it meant for what Tomino was trying to say in that timeline. So I'll be working on that. No promises that that's up next, but I'll be working on that. Let's see. Trying to think anything else coming around. No, but yeah, if you didn't check it out, we had Steven's show yesterday talking a lot of SD Eternal, a little bit of the custom Gunpla for the Solari Zaku 2. But yeah, real quick, talk about Gunpla. I don't know what everyone's working on. If you're working on something at the moment, I still have that Xerius. Right, I think this was called, or the Zilius, and I'm being racist again. No, but I have the high grade. I need to finish that because I have the what is it? That one that's like the Evangelion Mechagodzilla type model kit. I want to build that, and the 1/100 scale real grade 2.0 RX-78-2, the Fat Cat, I think they call it, or something like that. So those are some builds I have to get to. I've just been slow about building. But also because, I typically like to get the action figures and everything. And what's interesting, and I don't know if anyone's noticed this, I didn't notice it until just yesterday or today, but on the 23rd, both Hobby Link Japan, I think it was Hobby Link Japan, and Ami, unless it was another one anyway, they're resuming shipping to the US. They have shipping options that don't seem too pricey. I guess it's a little I guess it depends what you're getting. But this has allowed me to kind of calculate for uh, what other future stuff I want to grab, because I would love to get a, what do you call it? The Chigoken Gundam EX. I'm a fan of the Gundam EX. I have the high grade, the robot spirits now, the high grade, the Gundam Universe, the mobile suit ensemble, which looks awesome. Could go for a robot spirits, metal robot spirits, but I'd go for a Chigoken one. So, um, and you know what else too? Speaking of Requiem for Vengeance, and tomorrow being Halloween, Requiem for Vengeance came out this time last year, right before Halloween, and to me, it is very much a Halloween Gundam show. But even though I don't think it's really, and it wasn't intended, I confirmed with Gavin Hignett when I did that interview, and we were talking about it. That wasn't the intention, but because it has that sort of horror Jason Friday 13th quality with the Gundam EX, how it's hunting down Zaku's, I feel like it really fits in with Halloween. So I think it's really cool to kind of always talk about Requiem for Vengeance in that way. So I'll probably start watching it. And it's really short. The whole series you can watch. It's like the length of a movie. So I might watch that tonight or tomorrow. I think but what's like, so, we were just talking about stuff you would watch around Halloween, and I guess you could throw in Hathaway in there because of the Mafty pumpkin mask. Does that really make sense? I don't know. But what are some Gundam, are there like, and this could go for different holidays, right? Like Gundam games that you would play, even though really the theme is really the robot battles. How could you fit that in with a holiday? And sometimes it could be, well, this game, I got it for Christmas, so this is a Christmas game. And so that would work too. But for I would think when it comes to Gundam, anything that would be a Halloween Gundam game would probably be closer to Zeonic Front or something, one of those that a little slower paced. But no, I think that fits in better with Christmas or Independence Day. I don't know, depending on what side you're playing as. I don't know. Let me think. Is there anything else? Okay, here's something, because I was talking about being out of town. What was really cool was, I was going to visit my dad, staying with my brother, and my dad's place. I was with my youngest. We were able to walk to this comic shop, so close to his place. He lives in an apartment, but it's really cool how we can just kind of walk behind. There's really no fence, and just walk up. We're going through the woods, but it's like you could do it in probably 3 minutes. And there's a comic shop, and it was really cool seeing the stuff in there. And it was interesting. It's a comic shop that also has action figures and toys and pops and all that. And it's very interesting, and plushies. And it's very interesting to see that there was a lot of Godzilla stuff. There's the different Gremlins stuff, Power Rangers stuff, Pokemon, Star Wars, but a lot of Godzilla too. Like anything that was, they had like action figures or like these vinyl uh, piggy banks. They had like posters, books, magazines, pops. There would be Star Wars of that, Godzilla of that, you know. And so it was cool to see so much Godzilla stuff. But you know what was missing? Gundam. There was nothing Gundam in that comic book shop. It's very interesting. And I almost feel like that's the mistake there. Like, if there's this push for more people to get into Gundam and have more Gundam stuff out there, you gotta be this stuff has to be sold alongside the places where Godzilla is at. I think Godzilla has got its resurgence for a few reasons. Godzilla -1 helped. I think there was a little bit maybe from Shin Godzilla. That's kind of what sparked the resurgence for me back when Shin Godzilla came out. Resurgence, isn't that a no? That's Independence Day. Disaster, I guess. But I think Gundam could be in that same position as Godzilla. Like, in fact, I think it's weird how much more I see Godzilla memorabilia over Gundam memorabilia, especially nowadays, where GameStop would have the model kits, and that's how I found out about Gundam. Yeah, that's how I got into Gundam, was the model kit at GameStop. So, and I'm not even a model kit builder. It was just I felt like it would be a fun little activity to do with the kids, to buy a model kit, a robot. And I wanted to get one that was a robot. And Yeah, so I would say, and Bandai, of course, has presence, or do they, in these comic shops? Like, what else does Bandai have that maybe I'm missing in that conversation? Because that could be what is missing is having, and it doesn't have to be model kit. It could be Gundam, the Gundam Universe action figures, or any of those blind bags, blind boxes. So yeah, it's very interesting. Um, Oh yeah, Gundam EX looks scary. Looks like it would be piloted by Jason Voorhees. Yeah, exactly. That's why I think. Yeah, WD-30. Thanks for that. That's why I think it's a Halloween thing. Hey Jim Killex, good to see you. Yeah, and for those that are joining late, yes, Steven wasn't able to make it. Getting back at me for all those times. No, I'm joking, but he'll be back. I hope he'll be back. No, he will. Okay, so you know what? Let's get into one of the main topics here, and I want to talk about the different horror elements, Halloween horror, whatever elements of Gundam. So I'd call this. Let's see, what would I call this? Like the scariest moments in Gundam. So let's start with some like psychological horror and madness. We could throw in there Camille Badon's mental breakdown that happened in Zeta Gundam. I do think you don't see it portrayed a lot in live action, but sort of a mental breakdown kind of being the end of someone. I think in the Mouth of Madness, I think it was that one. I did a little bit of that. Four's death and Camille's psychic trauma. That's kind of this in the same line of that, kind of a psychological breakdown that's like terrifying for the viewer, the audience. And you know what? I don't think I've seen too many horror movies that are like that. I think in the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter, because I was John Carpenter. I said that word because I was just thinking of Prince of Darkness has some cool elements like that. Um, Lala Soon's death. I mean, it's pretty tragic, and so to me, I can see the psychological, but I don't know about horror. And then I guess Rita's existence as a ghost. Yeah, that's a good one actually. The psychological part. I mean, you could even throw in there stuff with like Blue Destiny. That whole idea of someone that having to serve, having to fight because you're almost forced to, even if you are volunteering for this. This is an act you're doing to potentially sacrifice yourself. And you could be used depending on your ability out in the battlefield. And this, Rita was one that because of her abilities, her new type abilities, she was used to the point of her body or her body pretty much dissolving while her spirit kind of staying alive, or whatever you'd call that, within the body of the narrative, or the Phoenix. I'm sorry, the Phoenix in narrative, which that actually just made me think that's also a good Halloween Gundam show. So that's pretty good. Okay, body horror and human experimentation. That's a interesting through line within all of UC Gundam. And I think we'll talk about it here later. Iron Blooded Orphans, the Alalia Vinyana, these terms. You know what I'm talking about? The things where they have the child soldiers having the surgery to have the stuff embedded into their back and their spinal column. Isn't that kind of crazy? And so, yeah, the Cyber New Type program, that's kind of where it all started within Gundam. And I like that. I like that as an interesting sci-fi, futuristic kind of wartime way to do warfare, doing experiments to people. It's not too different than what we see in Marvel with, Wolverine, Captain America. These were characters that were experimented on by the government or maybe a corporate entity in order to use it as a tool or a weapon. So it's not too different from that. And I think the difference between something like a Captain America and in Gundam with the Cyber New Types is kind of really showing the horrors of it, but long lasting, not just, the process to go through it. But, Wolverine, they did a good job with that. How how it's like what he was given is kind of painful to him, especially when the metal gets pulled out of him. And they portray that pretty cool in the movies. There's a couple movies I think I think the Wolverine didn't, they had it in X2, and I think the Wolverine, if I remember. And then, yeah, Pudu's death and cloning program. Yeah, that whole thing again is kind of like, and even up into Marita Cruz, that is very kind of horror type of um yeah, it's very interesting how they do that, because it's psychological, but it's also the body horror, because of the cyber new type. You're messing with their brains, but also what they're having to go through. Let's see. Flay Alster's final moments. This is from Gundam Seed. So, floating in space, realizing her hatred consumed her right before she's vaporized. There's an existential horror in her sudden clarity before death. Seed's not something I would watch on Halloween. What is Seed? I like kind of mapping these holidays with Seed. I can't really think of anything yet, but we'll come back to that. All right, here we go. Atmospheric and existential horror. So this could be like disaster film stuff, which that's interesting because a disaster film or disaster movie is not necessarily a horror movie, but it definitely has those horror elements in it. So Operation British, the slow cinematic depiction of the colony falling, the screaming civilians, the burning atmosphere. It's apocalyptic horror, Gundam's version of the end of the world. And there's so many different times in animation that they portray moments of that are amazing to watch. And again, this stuff is obviously horrible and is supposed to be portrayed as that, but that just heightens the experience we have watching the rest of it. We're not celebrating that this is happening, but we are being touched by something so dramatic that helps drive the context of what we're seeing. The Ghost Colony in Thunderbolt. This is a good one. Dead soldiers' bodies still floating, music playing through the static. Thunderbolt treats the battlefield like a haunted graveyard. He was calm. Psychosis only adds to the unease. And I don't know if we'll see some more Thunderbolt in here. I did kind of skim this, but Thunderbolt has some horror elements to it and body horror elements to it. So maybe we'll see that a bit more. Zaku face and War in the Pocket. I don't remember that from the end, other than the horror of what really happened in War in the Pocket, which is further down here. The Psycho Gundam rampages through Hong Kong. The scale noise, the glowing eyes, turning a scene in nightmare. It's a kaiju horror moment disguised as mecha action. So that's a good one, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying with the type of genre it is, like a disaster film, because is that necessarily horror? It has horror elements in it. But yeah, that's interesting. Like, is there a disaster film that is more a horror film than it is a disaster film? It reminds me of, oh man, one of those movies. What is it called? Okay, be a Skyline. There's that movie Skyline. It's like an alien invasion film. And it's very interesting how they film them, and then the sequels. I don't know why that popped up, because doesn't that happen in Double O? Okay, Gundam Ages unknown enemy reveal early on. So this is, oh yeah, that's right. The you know what? That's funny, guys, because it was on Tubi or something. I was watching some Gundam Age. Maybe the first episode or first two, and I didn't even finish it. And I remember that. So I don't know too much about this, so we'll move on. Okay, Victor Gundam Shrike Team deaths. Each one dies in a uniquely cruel and cinematic way, like a slasher picking them off one by one. The tone feels almost sadistic, adding to the horror of war. And that was what was cool about Victory Gundam. I think it had those extremes, especially with who could have possibly been the youngest Gundam pilot at that time. In that relationship with oh, why am I forgetting her name? I will remember it. But okay, good stuff. Okay, here we go. Surreal and cosmic horror. I'm into that stuff. I'm really into, like, Bloodborne, the game, From Software. Love that style. Love that style of horror. Yeah, Lovecraftian. We'll see that here. The Queen Mansa's psychic overload and double zeta, the going waves of psychomu energy, the screams, and the distortion of space. It's like Lovecraftian new type horror, which is a great idea. Like, there's some times where it could be that new type energy is portrayed evil in like a demonic way, like you would see with um wow, one of the zombies, Dozel. Yeah, Dozel. In the original Gundam, or that spirit that showed up in MS Igloo, right? They would see that, I forget what it was, that lady or whatever, or the moon. Was it something like that? But I think what would be interesting is something that is more cosmic horror, tentacles, right? What if, like in Unicorn with the time travel crystals stuff going on with Unicorn, what if you got this Gundam that maybe the reactor has some more potential quantum possibilities or whatever? I don't know. And so that accidentally opens a portal and all these tentacles kind of rush out of the mobile suit itself, takes it over, creates some sort of I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but there's something there. That Gundam Zirius. The Gundam Zirius. That has a kaiju in it. So there we go. Let's see. Unicorn Gundam's NTD system, when it activates and takes over, it's a possession moment. The Gundam becomes a sentient exorcist machine, glowing red, overpowering everything in sight. And that's a good one too. And it kind of speaks to the sort of death machine mentality that comes from a lot of these mobile suits and all throughout Gundam. It's more about being a weapon of war, but really, there's this like death about these things, like with the NTD. New type turns red, destroy. It's okay. Turn A Gundam's Black History reveal. Now, I haven't finished Turn A, but obviously, I've been on the internet, and so you just hear things. But learning that all Gundam timelines ended in apocalyptic destruction is existentially horrifying. It reframes the franchise as a cyclical cosmic nightmare, which I like that. I like that Tomino did that. That's why I got to watch it. But I feel like I really have to saturate myself in a lot of Gundam before I get there. Okay, the finale of Gundam 00 Awakening of the Trailblazer, aliens communicating through mind melds that nearly dissolve human individuality. It's annihilation level horror, loss of self, and the cosmic unknown. I remember watching that. I don't remember the details. So maybe that is a Halloween thing after all. Okay, bonus realistic human horror. Garmer's betrayal by Char. The casual blame this on the misfortune of your birth as Garma's ship goes down. It's Shakespearean horror, cold, personal, and fatal. Yeah, that's a good one. That's why that original 079 is written well. Bernie versus Al's realization, one in the pocket. Yeah, the boy realizing his friend died fighting the Gundam pilot he admired, and that none of it mattered. That's emotional horror, grounded and gut wrenching. And to me, I would say that is the most horrifying thing in Gundam, even though it's not like it's a visceral kind of morbid, and maybe it is, but more of the tragic of just human to human, basic, didn't communicate or couldn't, whatever. Because, for instance, I love horror movies. I grew up watching horror movies a whole lot. And I feel like in recent times, I've kind of gotten out of that. I don't know if it's because I have kids and then maybe it's trying not to watch it around them. Was it because, my wife's not into horror movies too much, so maybe I'm not watching them there. But there's also times where I choose not to watch a horror movie when I could. And those mainly being like the Final Destination films, although it's the last one. I've seen them all. But that, or I would even say like the Hostel films. There's just some films where sometimes if the horror is more of a gore, bloody, uh, torturous style of killing, where it's not supernatural. If it's something supernatural, Freddy, Jason, all that stuff, that doesn't bother me at all. That's so cartoony. It's just fun. Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2, one of the coolest movies ever. But yeah, the stuff that's like, even like slasher films in a way, like Scream, because it's just like someone trying to hunt down and just kill another person. Like, I mean, yeah, it's tense because, oh no, you're gonna kill someone, but it's like, okay, let's just watch people just, there's not a supernatural element. There's not like some neat sci-fi or bigger story implication that kind of drives the killing. So, um, yeah. What are some of your favorite horror movies or movies that you would watch around Halloween? There's one I watched, and now I have to look up what it's called. I watched it at my brother's. I want to say Marlon Wayans was in it. Was it Marlon Wayans? It was a Halloween movie. It wasn't a scary movie. It was on Netflix 2021. Let me look it up. Or I am completely wrong. Oh yeah, there we go. 2022, The Curse of Bridge Hollow. So I think, yeah, this is on Netflix. And it's made by the dude that made the Sonic movies. And it has that quality and feel to it. Sometimes some of it does look a little TV movie-ish, but I don't know if that's just having to do with the cameras, the technology, because then sometimes it looks fantastic. It's kind of for kids. It's like a family movie. I guess I should have added that. But it's done really well. I was actually surprised how enjoyable that was. Yeah, The Curse of Bridge Hollow. I probably ruined it right when I said it was for kids, family movie. Well, hey y'all. That's gonna be it. This is gonna be a short one because if Steven was here, he would have done half the talking and we would have had a whole episode. No, I'm joking. No, I just wanted to get this segment. I didn't really have anything else to really speak on. So hope you guys have a good Halloween. I'll be back next week. Steven, even if he's not back, he has his show too, so we'll be there as well. And I'll have some other videos going next week. So, let's see. We got Kenshin. I'm going to say, no, what's fun? Oh, contemplating on whether I should jump. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the comments, guys. I'm gonna head out. Yeah, if you leave the comment on the video, I might be able to answer. But I'm gonna head out. See y'all later. Oh yeah, now I have to click the thing.